in a sun-drenched corner of the kingdom, where flowers bloomed in every color imaginable, and birds sang the sweetest melodies, lived a girl named Cinderella. Her heart was as gentle as the morning dew, and her spirit as radiant as the midday sun. Her home wasn't a grand castle, but it was filled with the most precious thing of all, love. This warmth came from her dear father, who cherished his daughter more than anything. Their laughter was a constant, happy tune that danced through the cozy rooms of their house. Cinderella's days were simple and joyous. She'd help her father tend to their little garden and lose herself in his wonderful stories. Her life was a beautiful tapestry, woven with threads of love and contentment. But sometimes, even the brightest days must face clouds. A deep and heavy sadness fell over their home when Cinderella's kind and loving mother passed away. The vibrant colors of their world seemed to fade, and the sweet songs of joy turned into quiet sighs. Cinderella and her father held on to each other, their shared grief a heavy blanket over their hearts. As time went on, Cinderella's father, hoping to bring some light back into their lives, decided to remarry. He chose a woman who, on the surface, seemed pleasant enough, but beneath her polite smile was a heart as cold as winter and a mind as cunning as a fox. This was the stepmother. She brought with her 2 daughters, the stepsisters, who were just as arrogant and lazy as she was. They all moved into Cinderella's house, and slowly the happy echoes of the past began to disappear, replaced by a chilling silence. Then, tragedy struck again, a blow more devastating than the last. Cinderella's father, her rock, her source of laughter, her entire world, also passed away. His death left Cinderella utterly alone, like a fragile bird with broken wings. The world that had once sparkled with love now crumbled around her like a sandcastle against the tide. With her father gone, the stepmother no longer needed to pretend. She revealed her true, cruel nature. Suddenly, Cinderella's house was no longer her home. She was stripped of everything: her soft bed, her beautiful dresses, her freedom. The stepmother and stepsisters forced her to become their servant, a maid in her own house. From the first light of dawn until late at night, Cinderella worked endlessly. She scrubbed floors until they shone, polished silverware until it gleamed, and cooked meals she was never allowed to properly eat. Her hands were always busy, her body always aching with exhaustion. When night finally fell, she wasn't given a proper bed. Instead, she had to sleep by the cold, dusty hearth, huddling for whatever little warmth remained from the dying embers of the fire. Because she was always covered in soot and ash from the fireplace, her cruel stepsisters began to call her Cinderella, a nasty nickname meant to mock her miserable new life. But even there, surrounded by ashes and cruelty, a tiny spark of hope, kindness, and resilience still flickered within her pure heart, waiting and dreaming of a brighter day. Despite the endless chores and the sharp, stinging words of the stepmother and the stepsisters, Cinderella's spirit, much like a hidden spring, never once dried up. Her heart, a tiny resilient lantern in the gloom, continued to glow with an unwavering pure kindness. She refused to let the bitterness that surrounded her spoil her own sweet nature, holding on to the goodness her parents had taught her. When the weight of her sadness became too much to bear, threatening to extinguish her inner light, Cinderella would hum soft, gentle tunes. Her voice, as delicate and hopeful as a little bird's song, would fill the cold, drafty kitchen, a quiet melody that soothed her aching heart and served as a tender reminder that beauty and hope could still exist, even in the darkest of corners. She held a steadfast belief in the whisper of magic, in the enduring power of kindness, and in the quiet certainty that her own little spark of hope would one day find its way into the light and shine for all to see. One glorious morning, a palpable buzz of excitement swept through the kingdom like a warm, invigorating breeze. Royal messengers, astride powerful steeds and holding gleaming trumpets, galloped through every town and village, their voices ringing out with a proclamation of great importance. "Hear ye, hear ye," they announced with booming enthusiasm. "A grand ball will be held at the magnificent royal palace. It shall last for 3 enchanted nights. The prince, in his quest for a bride, will choose his future princess from among the maidens of our land." This incredible news ignited a joyful chaos that spread from the grandest manors to the humblest cottages. Everyone spoke of nothing else, the air thick with anticipation and dreams. At Cinderella's house, the announcement had a particularly potent effect. The stepmother's eyes, cold and calculating, gleamed with a sudden fierce ambition, her mind already spinning with plots and possibilities. The stepsisters shrieked with unbridled delight, immediately picturing themselves in the arms of the prince, dancing beneath the glittering chandeliers of the royal palace. Their heads were instantly filled with dazzling dreams of shimmering silks, priceless jewels, and the ultimate prize of becoming a princess. They spent endless hours arguing over the finest ribbons and the most dazzling gowns, their voices sharp and demanding. The entire house was thrown into a whirlwind of rustling fabric, scattered pins, and their loud, excited chatter as they prepared for the event of a lifetime. Cinderella, meanwhile, toiled tirelessly in the background, her small hands moving deftly as she stitched their elaborate dresses and carefully curled their hair, all while listening to their giddy, boastful plans. Their boisterous laughter and grand dreams filled every room, the sound echoing off the walls and making Cinderella's own quiet, secret dreams feel even smaller and further away. Yet despite the oppressive atmosphere, a fragile secret hope began to bloom within Cinderella's own heart. She allowed herself to imagine, just for a moment, that perhaps she, too, could go to the ball. She pictured herself, for one single magical night, free from the ever-present soot and ash, twirling gracefully under the warm, inviting lights of the royal palace. But her delicate hope was as quickly and cruelly crushed as a wildflower under a heavy boot. "You?" scoffed the stepmother, her voice dripping with a familiar, chilling disdain as she caught sight of the hopeful look in Cinderella's eyes. "To the royal palace? Don't be so utterly ridiculous, Cinderella. Your place is here, with the ashes and the cinders. Who in their right mind would ever want a grimy servant girl at a grand royal ball?" The stepsisters, echoing their mother's cruelty, erupted in fits of mocking giggles, pointing their fingers at Cinderella's worn patched dress. Cinderella's heart sank, feeling as though a stone had been dropped into her chest. Heavy and cold, the grand ball, with all its shimmering, enchanting promise, would have to happen without her. Left all alone in the quiet, dim kitchen, the distant sounds of her step-family's joyful preparations for the carriage echoed cruelly, leaving her behind with nothing but a silent, aching heart. As the clatter of the stepmother and the stepsisters' carriage faded beyond the gates of Cinderella's house, a profound sadness, like a rising tide, washed over Cinderella's heart. She stood alone in the deepening twilight, a solitary figure against the backdrop of the now empty home. Knowing she was forbidden to attend the grand ball at the royal palace, despair enveloped her, heavy as a stone pressing down upon her chest, and the joyous sounds of the distant kingdom seemed to mock her silent sorrow. The air, once filled with the shrieks of her stepsisters, was now thick with an unbearable quiet. Cinderella retreated to the kitchen and knelt beside the cold, lifeless hearth. Hot, fat tears, like fallen stars, streamed down her soot-streaked cheeks, leaving clean trails in the grime before splashing onto the cold stone floor. Each tear was not just a drop of sorrow, but a silent prayer, a choked sob that rose from the very depths of her pure and gentle heart. She wept for her shattered dreams, for the stinging injustice of her fate, and for the deep, desperate longing to escape her difficult life, even if only for a single, magical night. These clear, crystalline tears, filled with so much hardship, and yet untainted by bitterness, seemed to resonate through the very stones of the house, their silent plea echoing to the farthest corners of the kingdom, reaching even to the heavens above. Her shoulders shook with grief, her small hope extinguished like a candle in a harsh wind. Just as Cinderella felt her loneliness reach its most desolate peak, a gentle yet radiant light suddenly bloomed in the darkest corner of the kitchen. The light was not blinding or harsh. It was wonderfully warm and soft, like the glow of the full moon shining through a summer night's window. From within this shimmering, ethereal glow, a graceful figure slowly materialized. It was a benevolent fairy godmother, with hair as white as freshly fallen snow, and eyes that sparkled like 1,000 distant stars. Her smile was as warm and welcoming as the morning sun, promising comfort and kindness. She was adorned in a gown the color of a twilight sky, embellished with shimmering crystal beads that caught the light like tiny dewdrops, and in her hand she held a small delicate magic wand that hummed with unseen power. Cinderella looked up, her tear-filled, red-rimmed eyes widening with utter astonishment. She blinked, wiping away the moisture, but the vision remained. The beautiful woman before her was real, her presence filling the cold room with an inexplicable warmth. Cinderella couldn't believe what she was seeing. Was this a dream born from her desperate wish? Had her sorrow finally clouded her mind? The scent of night-blooming jasmine seemed to drift from the fairy godmother's robes, a fragrance of magic and forgotten gardens. The fairy godmother stepped closer, her movements as fluid as flowing water, and her compassionate eyes were full of a deep, knowing understanding. She looked upon Cinderella with such tenderness, a gaze that felt like a gentle embrace for a cherished child, enduring immense suffering. "My dear child, why are you crying?" The fairy godmother's voice was as soft and melodious as a wind chime, carrying a tone of boundless comfort that soothed the ragged edges of Cinderella's grief. "Don't you worry, my little one. Your heart's desire is not a secret to me. You want to go to the ball, don't you? Then you shall go." With a playful wink, the fairy godmother's eyes twinkled like a sky full of stars, and her smile broadened, promising a night filled with wonders beyond imagination. A warm spark of hope, small but bright, ignited within Cinderella's heart, chasing away the shadows of her despair. She knew, with a certainty that resonated deep in her soul, that from this moment forward, her life would never be the same. A miraculous night awaited her, a night of enchantment and possibility, all starting from the unexpected and wonderful appearance of the fairy godmother. A fragile secret hope bloomed once more. The fairy godmother gently lifted her wand, and with a soft flick, a stream of shimmering magic, like a river of stardust, danced through the quiet kitchen air. Her voice was as gentle as a lullaby, as she guided Cinderella out of the dark house and into the moonlit garden behind. There, nestled among the shadowed leaves and coiled vines, sat a simple, round pumpkin, its orange skin glowing faintly under the night sky. With a graceful wave of her delicate wand, the fairy godmother sent a cascade of light toward it. The pumpkin began to tremble and shimmer, its form twisting and growing. In a breathtaking flash, it transformed into a magnificent golden carriage, its surface so polished It seemed to hold the light of 1,000 suns within. The wheels, intricately carved and gilded, gleamed like polished sunlight, and the plush interior beckoned like a royal throne. Next, the benevolent fairy godmother turned her attention to the small, faithful creatures who had been Cinderella's only friends. With a soft call, she summoned the tiny mice from their hiding places in the walls. They scurried to her feet, their small bodies trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. With another whisper of magic and a delicate touch of her wand, the mice were enveloped in a swirling vortex of light. When the glow faded, they stood transformed into a team of noble white horses, their manes flowing like spun silk, and their powerful bodies poised with strength and pride. Then she called to the old loyal dog, who trotted over, his tail wagging. A similar enchantment turned him into a fine coachman, standing tall and dignified in a smart uniform, his posture exuding a newfound sense of duty. Cinderella watched this impossible spectacle unfold, her heart, once heavy with sorrow, now fluttering with pure wonder and disbelief. Finally, the fairy godmother turned her kind, sparkling eyes to Cinderella herself. A warm, gentle smile graced her lips as she raised her wand one last time, the tip glowing with an even brighter, more potent magic. In a swirl of ethereal light that wrapped around Cinderella like a loving embrace, her tattered soot-stained dress dissolved into nothingness. In its place, materialized a breathtaking gown of silver and blue. So ethereal, it seemed woven from moonbeams and sprinkled with crushed diamonds. The fabric shimmered with every slight movement, catching the soft glow of the carriage and the stars above. Upon her feet, where worn-out shoes had once been, appeared the most delicate pair of glass slippers, shining like pure, flawless crystal and reflecting the magic all around her. The fairy godmother looked at the transformed Cinderella with profound kindness, her expression a mixture of pride and gentle warning. "Remember, my dear," she said softly, her voice carrying the weight of the spell's one condition. "This wondrous magic, the carriage, the horses, and your beautiful gown will last only until the clock strikes midnight." Cinderella, her eyes wide with unshed tears of joy, nodded in understanding. Her heart, once a vessel of despair, was now overflowing with more gratitude and hope than she had ever thought possible. As she took the coachman's offered hand and stepped into the glowing dreamlike carriage, she felt as though her deepest, most impossible dreams were finally taking flight, carrying her toward a night of enchantment she knew she would never ever forget. In a shimmering moment Cinderella never thought she'd see, the golden pumpkin carriage pulled up to the grand royal palace. Cinderella's heart fluttered like a tiny bird as she stepped out, her feet barely seeming to touch the ground. Her gown, a masterpiece of magic, woven from moonlight and dreams, shimmered like a calm sea at dawn, each tiny jewel catching the light like a glistening dewdrop. Her hair was swept up in an elegant style, adorned with a single, softly glowing pearl, transforming the simple girl from the kitchen into a true princess, radiating a quiet, breathtaking beauty. A wave of gasps rippled through the grand hall as she entered. The air, once filled with polite murmurs and the rustle of silk, fell into a hush. No one, not even the stepmother or the stepsisters, who were too busy gossiping in a corner and complaining about the quality of the refreshments, recognized the radiant girl who had just arrived. Cinderella felt as though she was floating on a cloud, a newfound confidence blossoming with every graceful step she took onto the polished marble floor. She looked around in awe. Everything was so splendid and luxurious, a world of shimmering chandeliers and cascading flowers, so very different from the cold, grey walls of Cinderella's house. Suddenly, amidst the sea of faces, a pair of eyes landed on her. The prince, who had been looking rather bored amidst the dull, repetitive dances and forced conversations, suddenly felt a jolt, as if a spark had ignited within him. His eyes scanned the room, passing over countless ladies, adorned in their finest jewels, and landed squarely on Cinderella, as if a magical spotlight shone only on her, illuminating her in a halo of gentle light. He felt his heart beat a little faster, a strange yet wonderfully exciting feeling he had never experienced before. Without a second thought, he gently pushed through the dancing crowd, his gaze never leaving her. The prince approached, his movements full of a natural grace, and bowed deeply. "May I have this dance, fair maiden?" he asked, his voice soft yet clear. Cinderella, her heart soaring like a lark at sunrise, curtsied in return. As their hands met, a warm spark seemed to fly between them, a silent acknowledgement of an instant, profound connection. They glided across the ballroom floor as if they were the only two people in the entire royal palace, moving in perfect harmony. They talked softly, their voices a quiet murmur against the grand orchestra, and laughed gently, sharing secrets with their eyes. In those magical moments, Cinderella forgot her chores, her sadness, and the cruel words of her stepfamily. All that existed was the music, the warmth of his hand, and the kind look in his eyes. The prince, too, felt a joy he'd never known, a deep, soulful connection he'd never found with anyone else. Time seemed to stand still for them, stretching and bending to the rhythm of their waltz. They danced one after another, the music swirling around them, as soft and beautiful as a dream. The night seemed to stretch on forever, an endless tapestry, woven with shared laughter and secret, knowing smiles. Cinderella felt like she was living in a beautiful fairy tale, a wonderful dream from which she never wanted to awaken. However, amidst the overwhelming joy and the spellbinding music, a deep, resonant chime echoed through the royal palace, striking unexpectedly and shattering the perfect illusion. Dong! Cinderella's heart leaped into her throat. Midnight, the fairy godmother's urgent warning rushed back into her mind with the force of a tidal wave. At the stroke of midnight, all magic will disappear. Dong! Dong! The terrible thought seized her. Her magical gown would turn back to rags, the glorious carriage to a common pumpkin. She had to leave at once. I must go, she whispered, pulling away from the prince, her eyes wide with a sudden, overwhelming fear. Dong! 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 Wait, please don't leave, the prince cried, his voice filled with desperation as he reached out for her. But Cinderella was already running, a fleeting vision of silver and blue, down the grand staircase, her heart pounding like a frantic drum against her ribs. Dong! 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 As she dashed away, one of her delicate glass slippers, a perfect, tiny miracle of a shoe, slipped off her foot and was left behind on the cold marble stairs. She couldn't stop, not for a second. Dong! 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 Cinderella burst out of the royal palace doors just as the 12th and final chime began to fade into the night air. The prince, left standing alone and heartbroken, slowly descended the staircase and picked up the single glass slipper. Its fragile beauty matched the mysterious girl who had so completely stolen his heart. He held it tightly, making a silent vow. He knew he had to find her. He would search the entire kingdom, from the grandest manor to the humblest cottage, until he found the foot that fit this tiny, magical shoe. When morning sunlight gently spilled across the royal palace, the prince still held the glass slipper in his hands. Though the night had passed, the memory of the mysterious girl had not faded from his heart. Her kindness, her laughter, and the way she danced as if her soul were free filled his thoughts. With firm determination, he made a promise to himself. He would find her, no matter where she was in the kingdom. He looked down at the delicate shoe, a single perfect symbol of his hope, and knew his quest was just beginning. Soon, the royal search began. A grand proclamation echoed throughout the land, carried by trumpets and the hopeful voices of the king's men. From tall castles perched on windswept cliffs, to quiet villages nestled in green valleys. From grand homes with manicured gardens to small humble cottages, the guards travelled far and wide. They carried the delicate glass slipper with the utmost care on a velvet cushion, a fragile beacon of the prince's devotion. In every town square and noble house, a line of young ladies formed, each one dreaming of becoming a princess. They tried eagerly, pushing and pointing their feet, hoping for a fairy tale ending. Yet no matter how hard they squeezed, wiggled, or wished, the slipper would not fit. It seemed to wait patiently, holding its magical shape for its one true owner. At last, the long and tiring journey brought the royal guards to Cinderella's house. Hearing the commotion outside, the stepsisters rushed forward, their faces alight with greedy excitement. They pushed and pulled, shoving each other aside, each one absolutely certain the slipper would finally choose her. The first sister tried, her foot too wide, and she grunted with effort. The second followed, her foot too long, and she let out a frustrated sigh. But once again, the glass shoe refused to fit, its elegant curve rejecting them completely. Disappointed and deeply annoyed, the stepmother, her face a mask of cold fury, tried to send the royal guards away with a dismissive wave of her hand. Just then, a soft, gentle voice spoke from behind, barely a whisper, but clear as a bell. "Please, may I try too?" Everyone turned in surprise, their eyes falling upon the figure in the shadows. Cinderella stepped forward shyly, her simple work dress smudged with soot, her hands clasped nervously in front of her. Yet her eyes were calm and filled with a quiet, hopeful light. Though she wore simple, worn-out clothes, there was a quiet kindness shining from her face, an inner grace that no amount of dirt could hide. The prince, who had accompanied his guards, looked at her, and in that very moment, his heart recognized her. It was the same girl from the ball, the same warmth in her gaze, the same gentle smile that had captured his soul. Cinderella sat down and slowly, gracefully, slipped her foot into the glass slipper. It fit perfectly, sliding on as if it had always belonged to her. A seamless, sparkling match. The room filled with sharp gasps of wonder and disbelief. The stepsisters stared, their mouths agape, while the stepmother's face turned pale with shock, smiling softly. As if sharing a wonderful secret, Cinderella then reached into her small apron pocket and revealed the second glass slipper, its twin. Holding it up for all to see, the truth was clear, brighter than any magic, shining for everyone to witness. The prince, his heart overflowing with joy, happily took Cinderella's hand, his touch gentle yet firm. "I have been searching for you," he said warmly, his voice full of relief and adoration. Cinderella smiled, her eyes filling with joyful tears that traced paths down her dusty cheeks. All her pain, her loneliness, and the endless hard days of her past had led to this single, perfect moment of reunion and vindication. Not long after, Cinderella left her old life behind and moved to the royal palace, her new home, a place of light and laughter. She became a princess, not just because she wore a crown or beautiful gowns, but because of her gentle heart and unwavering spirit. She never forgot her kindness, and she treated everyone, from the highest noble to the humblest servant, with the same love and respect she had always wished for. And so, Cinderella and the prince lived happily together, their love a testament to the idea that kindness is the greatest magic of all, even after midnight had passed, and the enchantment of the ball was a distant memory. Their happiness remained, shining brightly, a timeless love story, forever and ever.